Welcome back, friends, to my YouTube channel Facts and Opinion. And once again, today's video is going to be about Canada. So today what I brought to you is just some tidbits about money in Canada. So I've tried to compile all kinds of information for you where you can understand and know everything you need to know about money in Canada. So first things first, we're going to start with richest provinces in absolute GDP per capita in Canadian dollars. And this we're going to talk in terms of all the important provinces in Canada. So before I start, I just got to give you a slight bit of idea. What is GDP per capita? GDP per capita is how you can assess how an individual in that particular region that is living, he or she is living in, what that region gives to that individual. In specific language, GDP per capita is the sum of gross value added by all resident producers in the economy plus any produced product taxes less subsidies not included in the valuation of output divided by mid-year population. In very simple terms, it's the total income of a country or region divided by the number of people living in that particular region. Now, GDP per capita shows how much money people make on an average by working in that region. This obviously there's always going to be a lower spectrum of income, people earning on the lower spectrum, and then there's going to be people on the higher spectrum as well, but we're just going to try to get a median or an average amount. And so yeah, let's take a look. As you can see here, one of the richest provinces in Canada is Alberta with $78,154, and Saskatchewan coming second at $70,654, with the number 3 being Newfoundland and Labrador, and followed by Ontario at $48,971. Newfoundland and Labrador has $65,556. British Columbia has $47,579. Manitoba has $44,654, and Quebec has $43,349. Okay, now a lot of you people or the public here would have thought that Ontario or British Columbia should come first, but the difference is you do have to understand that Ontario and British Columbia are very populated provinces, and it doesn't matter how much Ontario makes or British Columbia makes. When it's divided among the people or the number of people living in the province, the average value goes down as compared to Alberta, which is also definitely one of the richer provinces in terms of making money. The province definitely has money. Having said that, when the resources are divided among the population in Alberta, it is far less as compared to Ontario or British Columbia, and hence you can see the difference. So you can clearly see Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Newfoundland definitely has the benefit of having a low population, whereas Ontario, British Columbia, and Quebec, which are more severe in terms of population than Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Newfoundland, although they are richer provinces, but because of the population, the resources are divided among more people, and their average income per capita goes down. Now, Manitoba, well, it's gotta have to work hard. Now, it doesn't have that much of a population. At the same time, it doesn't even have that income producing assets on its or the resources. So obviously Manitoba is falling behind over here. So what it basically tells you is that if you end up living in Alberta, the chances of you competing against someone who also has a higher income is comparatively less, because at the end of the day, there's lack of resources in terms of people, but there's more resources available in terms of finances. So if there is a job of an accountant, let's say there's a 10 job of an accountant, you'll find maybe there's 5 accountants available. So your ability to negotiate for these jobs is more because there are less number of people interested, or there's less number of resources as an accountant working in Alberta, as opposed to Ontario, because there's more population. The chances of there's more let's say there's 10 jobs for an accountant at the same time. The number of people could also be 10 or more, which means their negotiation skills a little bit goes down as well. So this is a very generic explanation. There's more to But overall, what GDP per capita means is simple terms. It is basically a total income of a region divided by the number of people living in that particular region. So that's simply put. Now let's take a look at the average after-tax income in Canada and the provinces between 2016 to 2020. So as you can look at on the screen here, you can see I've put in the data here. I'm just going to share all the links where I found these resources, but just for your information for now, I had to bring in 2016 amounts to the 2020 constant dollars. What it means is what the dollar amount, what it meant in 2016 is different in 2020, but it was brought up to the mark as if a dollar is equivalent to what is a dollar equivalent in 2020, and then I had to multiply that and bring that source. This is something that's already available, but it makes a logical sense, and I couldn't find anything for 2021 or 2. Again, there were pandemics, so again you have to kind of discount those numbers anyways, right? So let's get on it. So on an average, if you see in Canada, across Canada in 2016 it was 60,400 on an average. In 2017 it was about 61,900. 2018, as expected, because inflation also plays a role here. So again, 62,100, 2019 62,400, and eventually 2020 is 66,800. Now, if you look at it in Newfoundland and Labrador, in 2016 it was 60,000, and it has actually gone down from there. So 2017, 18, 19, and 20, you see that overall there's been a difference of $700 in 2020. In PEI or Prince Edward Island, you can see it was 53,200. It's actually gone up to 59,400 in 2020. It had a brief dip in 2017, but then it picked up from 2018, and then it has been consistently growing. One of the reasons, so a lot of import and exports can happen through PEI, so it can have really good income through those shores as well. Now Nova Scotia again 53,000, definitely seeing a little bit of a hike overall. So 53,000, dip in 2017, 2018, and 2019 was pretty consistent, but then in 2020 you can see that there was an increase of overall $4,500 overall. New Brunswick 53,100, 54,200, 54,800, pretty consistent, and then a little bit of increase in 2020, that's 56,900. Alberta 75,800, 75,300, and it goes to 77,700. So not a big increase for Alberta. The biggest jump or biggest rates you can actually see is in British Columbia, where 58,700 in 2016 and 2020 is 67,500. It's almost you can say about $9,000 worth of increase. Ontario, so 62,800 and 70,800, which is also a big jump. It's close to $800 there as well. Then if you see for other provinces, it's not been a huge significant difference. It's more or less anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 increase in the after-tax income. Now, again, there's various factors that come into play, but overall, as you can see, with increasing population, with increasing inflation, it does tend to go up, the prices or the income go up with the prices, with the CPI or Consumer Price Index. So there is no surprises, although BC and Ontario definitely has showed bigger jumps, which has on an average has helped Canada achieve from 60,400 to 66,800, because remember, these are the two most populated provinces in Canada. Alright, so that's for the after-tax income province-wise in the major provinces and small provinces as well. Now we're going to look at average salary in Canada and the hourly wage rate as of today, as of 2023, 2022, and that's what we're doing.
Alright, so let's discuss about average salary in Canada and hourly wage rate. So, average salary, so I've put it in an ascending another, with Alberta being the highest and New Brunswick being the lowest. The average hourly rate that we can look at in Alberta is $35. In across Canada, you can say average is 32, and average weekly wage rate is about $1,249. In Alberta, it's about $35. In Ontario, it is about 33. British Columbia, 32. Saskatchewan, 31. Quebec, 30. Newfoundland and Labrador, it is 30. And $28 for Manitoba, Nova Scotia, and PEI in New Brunswick at 26 average hourly wage rate. That turns out to, when you compare it with the standard hours, which is 37.45 hours per week, you can come at 1,397 at Alberta, with the lowest being in New Brunswick. Ontario, 1,284, British Columbia, 1,282, Saskatchewan, 1,244, Quebec, 1,116, Newfoundland, 1,206. So the range it's marginal, so that's why the amount is a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's same average hourly wage. Manitoba is 1,117, Nova Scotia, 1,089, 1,048 for PEI. So again, these average salaries, again, the way they've been calculated is they're based on the average income that a person has, and then divided by the number of the population you have, and overall how much a person earns in the province overall. And that's usually the way. I mean, there is no statistical data, but you're just gonna have to figure it out by yourself. That's how this comes out. Now, obviously, it's not reflective of the real average hourly rate or average hourly rate in Canada or in specific provinces. There are a lot of people who will be working at way lower wage or minimum wages as well, which I'm going to discuss next. But what it does discuss is that on an average, how much does an individual? If you're in Alberta and you've been there for a couple of years, and if you're in a white collar job, you can expect your income to be somewhere about $35 an hour. Even if it's a salary, you can divide it and you can find it. It's going to be somewhere about $35 an hour in 3 to 4 years. Now, there's no surprises in this particular section of the video, because Alberta was expected to be the number one, Ontario again, BC again, Saskatchewan again, and Quebec. So these are the top 5, and then Nova Scotia is definitely something that you would expect that would have more than Newfoundland, Labrador, or Manitoba. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and based on the population and the resources they have, this is how much you can earn there as well. And you'll know the reasons why that is in the next slide. So like I mentioned, the provincial, the wage rate, the average wage rate that we saw there doesn't really show the picture as to what is the minimum wage, and there is a large chunk of population that also work on or close to minimum wage rate as well as as a newcomer to the country. Now, the provincial minimum wage rate requirements as of January 2022 were as follows. Alberta is $15, British Columbia is $15.20, Manitoba is $11.95, New Brunswick $11.75, Newfoundland $12.75, Northwest Territories is $15.20, Nova Scotia $12.95, and Nunavut is $16, Ontario $15, Prince Edward Island is $13, Quebec $13.50, Saskatchewan is $11.81, and Yukon is $15.20. Now, you would be surprised to know that a lot of people and a lot of jobs are actually at the beginner level. They do start at $16, $17, $18 an hour. There's very few jobs which start at $15 an hour. It's usually the jobs that has high turnover rate. You would see that it's $15, or the jobs where there's commission involved. Again, those jobs are usually comes with $15 or $15.20 an hour, $15.20 an hour. Now, as you can see, the major provinces, Alberta, British Columbia, and Ontario, are somewhere in the range of 15. The surprising is Nunavut with 16 and 15.20 for Northwest Territories. The objective here is obviously you want your workforce to be out there and going to for the work. You don't want them to be toiling in the snow or in harsh weather and not getting paid enough as well, right? So that's the main reason. Nova Scotia, again, as you can see, the 12.95 being at the lower range or lower end of it, and that being the reason that their average wage is also at the lower end of it as well, and that makes sense why they have they rank lower on the list of richest provinces as well. But that is it for today. If you have any questions, concerns, if you have any pointers as to if there's something that I missed, you can definitely point that out in the video. But the objective here was that you should be able to, once you go through this video, you should be able to make an objective decision in terms of which province could suit you better. I'm going to make a next video as to, in terms of expenses, as to which provinces come close, or how they rank in terms of expenses as well. But that is it for today, guys. If you have any questions, concerns, please go ahead and mention that in the comment section. Like my video if you think it is useful. Please like my video, share my video to your friends and colleagues and fellow YouTubers as well. And that's it for today. Ciao.